Good afternoon, Facebook. I've just been told that I am live, and good afternoon, Facebook. I've just been told that I'm live, and I need to turn my microphone off because I had it on mute. And this doesn't happen every day, but it happens most days. I'm waiting for David to join me, and he is trying. I got a message from him a moment ago, and I did mean to say okay, and hopefully he will be on screen with me in a moment. I'm just waiting for a thumbs up. I've got a bit of a flicker, but when I get a thumbs up, I'll bring David up on camera, and we'll do broadcasting to your community. Well, he's not giving a thumbs up, but he's not giving a thumbs down either, so hello, David.
Hi.
Hi. Right. Okay. And welcome to Broadcasting to Your Community with David and Stephen. And welcome. How are things with you, sir?
Good now that I'm here.
Yeah, it's a bit panicky, isn't it? But you are here, which is good. Now, we have to make a decision before the end of the show whether we're actually going live tomorrow as well. So that's the only thing we need to decide during the show.
Oh, okay.
Right. Okay. Now, last time we were with you was last Thursday at 12 p.m. And a lot's happened in the UK since then. And we say hello to Barry, who's saying good afternoon, David and Stephen.
Hey, Barry.
Hello, nice to see you. Thank you for joining. Now that you're here, I can actually try and put the overlay back up so that people know who we are. Right.
Well, if they don't know by now.
Yeah, but there might be new people watching us.
Yes, you're right.
As well as good friends, there might be new people. We've got Kelly as well. Hello, Kelly. Right, so the show is good to go because both Kelly and Barry are here.
Well, you know, in saying that, let's say hello to one of the things I've realized as of recent is that there's always a lot of people that are watching that don't say anything, and we call them lurkers. They're lurking. And I just wanted to say, as much as we like people to engage with this, for those of you who are here lurking, no pressure. This is a lurk safe zone, and we just appreciate you being here if you're just listening to us in the background.
We need a new word because lurker has dark connotations. I know we all use it, but that takes me on to our first point. Somebody said in the Believers group that social distancing was the wrong term to use and that we should be using something else. Now, I've got a problem with that. Every single government in the world, every single television station, every single radio station, and every single newspaper is using the term social distancing. So we're a bit too far down the track to actually change it.
Well, yeah. Well, it's like lurking. I'll say lurking. Like it's a known term in the live streaming world, at least in the Twitch world, anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Lurking, and it doesn't mean anything dark. It just means you're lurking. You're just sitting there watching, and you're not commenting. You're not doing anything. So, as far as somebody wanting to change the word social distancing, they don't take a poll and they don't ask the world's permission before they label it something. So it sounds to me like maybe somebody was offended.
Well, I got to say. Somebody I know is saying this. So if you're going to try and change the term social distancing, then good luck with that, because it ain't going to happen.
Yeah, if they want to call it something else when they're referring to it, go for it.
Yeah. Kelly is saying, can't get germs saying hello. I'm a germaphobe. Well, no, we can't, unfortunately. And over to Barry. And Barry is saying, I'm still dealing with my cold, staying safe and practicing social distancing. I've not been out since Wednesday. I think that it's common sense, isn't it? To actually stay at home and go out and not socialize. I mean, in the UK over the weekend, all the pubs and clubs and bars and theaters are closed.
Yeah. And we've been like that for almost a week already.
Yeah. And the problem is that the sun has arrived in the UK. Now, this is a rare event, but the sun has arrived in the UK and everybody's been going out. But the unfortunate thing is that they've all been going out to the same place. And our National Trust properties had crowds, and you couldn't do social distancing because you couldn't get far enough away from people. The result of which is our National Trust properties have now closed. And the government are being asked to, basically to tighten up and to put in a regulation which says you can't be, you've got to use common sense. And if you don't use common sense, then you'll be fined for it. Yeah. In Paris, you can't cycle. If you do cycle, then you get fined 130 euros, which is about $160.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of tightening up going on. The biggest problem that exists at the moment is whilst rail travel is down by about 50-60%, people are still traveling around London on the tube. Now, if you've seen the tube station, you've seen the trains that go through there, they are packed, and there is no way that you can actually practice social distancing on a tube train. Ask anybody in Japan whether that can happen. So that's a problem which they need to find a solution to.
Yeah. We are around here, like I say, the bars and restaurants have been closed last Thursday, I think it was. And our buses are still running, public transit. Becky, Becky Mary, hello, Becky. She says, I'm lurking around, just flying around to see what's occurring. Well, look, we got a lurker out of the woodworks. We got them to comment. So, Becky, welcome. Thanks for being here. Welcome, Becky. Jennifer and I went out yesterday. Now, we've been in the house together, and we've got a lot of questions too. We're like, well, like we haven't been hugging, for example, right? Jennifer's a big hugger. I like hugs, but she needs a lot of hugs, which is fine. But I've been like, honey, we've just gotta, and I don't know, like we're like, are we okay to hug because we live in the same house together? There's only the two of us here. I haven't allowed the kids to come here. Yesterday we went out in our car. So it took us 20 seconds to walk to our car. And then we went for a drive just to get out of the house, just to get out of the freaking house. Right. And and we saw, like, it was like Christmas Day out there. There weren't a lot of cars on the road. We did go grab a coffee and a donut through a drive-through. And I will say the place we went to, there was a car in front of us. They had used the debit machine. And before she handed them the debit machine, she wiped down the debit machine and squirted stuff on her hands, washed her hands, then handed it to them. When it came back, she washed her hands again and rubbed it down. I paid cash, and I just held it on the corner and handed it through. So, I mean, we're being super cautious. I still see some people out and about, though, not practicing social distancing. And I'm like, do you not get this? Yeah. Like, this is serious shit. Pardon me.
Totally. I mean, Bondi Beach in Sydney, Australia, was absolutely packed with sunbathers and people enjoying themselves, as a result of which the Australians have closed Bondi Beach. And they've closed the country as well. Now, this is indicative. Australia are now, they've always been an island, but they're now an isolated island. You can't fly in or out for 6 months. So they have closed the island for 6 months. So there's a lesson there for all of us. That it's happened. The 6 month figure has been mentioned in the UK as well. That's the sort of timescale that people are actually looking at now and planning forward. Our train network is a series of private companies, and it was sold off by the government to private companies. They run the rail network. Somebody's responsible for the East Coast, somebody's responsible for the West Coast, and the North and the South. And the government has said, right, okay, for the next 6 months, we'll take over responsibility for running the railways. You still run it, but we'll take over responsibility for it to make sure that there isn't a problem. What they don't want is any rail company going out of business for the next 6 months. So they've acted as a guarantor, really, to keep the train services going.
Yeah.
Say hello to Peter.
Hello, Peter.
And Becky.
People just ignoring comments. Yeah, and I don't get it. Like, when it first started, like, and the government talked a little bit about it, okay, and then you kind of go, okay, not me, and then it started coming closer, and we went, okay, and then I remember on the Sunday before they stopped it all, like as far as going to restaurants and bars, Jennifer was out running karaoke on a Sunday afternoon, and I was even thinking, like, man, I'm not sure she should be out doing that. And then it was the next day that the government said, okay, we're demanding you close. And then, but I still see people gathering at each other's homes, like, having little whatever parties. And it's like, do you not get it? Like, and when they close all this stuff down, like when they close the casinos down, and the casinos, at least the Caesars casinos in Las Vegas, they chose to shut down. When the casinos are closing, there's a problem. Let me tell you, okay? And you need to take it seriously. And I just don't understand how some people are not taking it serious. And as long as I stay away from, I know, but I don't know. I'm not the expert, but it's frustrating to see.
The thing that we do have in common, amongst other things, is common sense, and so does Barry. And Barry is saying, unfortunately, there's always going to be people who just do not get it, and he's saying this is serious, people. Then over to Becky, and Becky is saying, "Do you want to read this one?" She didn't say that.
Some of the coastline are barricading the roads to stop people coming into their villages. They're saying because not enough hospital beds in the small hospitals to house holiday makers, and people are acting as it's a public holiday time. Yeah. We're actually in a very unique. I had this discussion with a friend of mine who's in a position of authority here in town, and he confidently said to me, because of the way Sarnia is positioned, like you go this way and there's water, and you go that way and there's water. So the only way in is from this way and this way. So we're actually in a unique position. The borders are closed now. He said we should be blocking people coming into the city because we're in such an area where we only really have two entrances, right? And just saying, whoa. And I think it may come to that. And it's going to be interesting to see, like, Premier Ford spoke today or speaking later today at 1:00, and Justin Trudeau already spoke, and they haven't said they're going to, but there is a strong possibility that they will put Canada in official lockdown. They don't want to do that, but they may have to, right?
We've got the same in the UK, and Becky is saying restaurants, cinemas, schools, public houses all closing, but people still acting as normal. We've got
normal out of that, right?
And Kelly is saying might have to bring in martial law soon. Just saying.
I don't know if they call it martial law or whatever. They're calling it lockdown, which means
we know in the UK there are 20,000 troops in readiness.
Yeah.
So this is a possibility. But the thing is, today McDonald's have closed 1,400 restaurants in the UK. Costa have closed all their coffee shops, and there are two of the major chains have closed theirs as well. And they were just doing takeaway. Yeah, takeaway was still allowed. Yeah, but they've closed it all down.
Yeah.
And Kelly is saying martial law. I'm trying to keep up with the comments. Thank you, everybody. Only way is to lock down cities. And Becky's talking to Kelly, which is good. And hello, Gospel. Many are not taking it seriously. It's like a holiday to them, especially with the sun shining. Now, we went for a walk yesterday, like yourselves, and we went out and we walked through the estate, nobody around. And then we walked up to the allotments, because we've still got allotments. And then we just went out into the fields and there was nobody there. Everybody else was going to where there were crowds. Yeah. And today we went out for a run, and all the runners, because we're on sort of circuit, were keeping the distance using common sense. So again, we didn't see anybody, and we noticed, or Angelica noticed, that there were fewer cars on the road at the moment.
Well, we definitely noticed that, and for sure. I will tomorrow. Actually, we can go live if you want, depending on what time. But if we're going to do 1 o'clock again, that's cool till 1:30. I'm actually going to be going live tomorrow at 2 o'clock. I haven't put this out there yet, so I'll put it out here for the first time. I'll be going live at 2 o'clock on my page, and I will be interviewing one of our local police officers, John Sotosani. And there's a good possibility that our chief of police, Norm Hansen, will be joining in that broadcast as well. So they're going to be joining me live to bring us up to date on Sarnia Police Service and some more, I guess, legal things that are being put in place that the government has power to do. And they're going to talk about just how they're handling things here in the city of Sarnia-Lambton. So that's tomorrow at 2 o'clock on the Show with David Burrows page. So, and I'll be going live again later today as well at 3:30 Eastern, which I am excited to say. Marco Novo is going to be joining me as one of my guests later today as well. So
good
for that. And these interesting times bring on some good challenge, some strong challenges, Stephen. But at the same time, and I had a really extensive conversation with somebody yesterday about how we can take this and turn it into an opportunity. For example, I have a guitar sitting up in a closet collecting dust. And I was talking to my daughter yesterday, and I said, boy, I've often thought about getting that back out and trying to relearn it. And she said, because she plays like 12 different instruments. She said, well, Dad, if you want to learn how to play, she says, we could get out the FaceTime, because she's over at her mom's. She says, I'll teach you. I'm like, So here we are taking advantage of technology in a positive way. I'm getting some time with my daughter, and she's teaching her dad something, and we're still engaging with each other. Learn a new language, learn a new hobby, read a book. Like, there's all these things that I think have said, oh, I'm just too busy for that because this society moves so fast. I'm too busy. Now you got the time. So how are you going to make yourself and learn something new? And by each of us doing something individual to make ourselves a little bit better, it's actually going to help the community as a whole eventually by creating new skills in ourselves, etc.
Well said. Becky's saying, son has just said that McDonald's have a 2-mile queue. Well, they close at 7 o'clock tonight, so hopefully people will be able to get the last McDonald's for some time. And over to Kelly, and Kelly is saying, do you want to read this one? Because it's a bit long one.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes you just can't tell people the right thing to do, just like in the case of the anti-vaxxers and flat earth people, since it's real. What are you talking about? I thought the earth was flat.
Only bits of it. It's Kelly, in the UK, it's like the people who voted for Brexit.
Oh, here we go.
They're the ones who are on the beach. They're the one. Never mind. I didn't say that. Okay. It's probably true, though. And over to Becky. It's fine to go out and keep a safe distance, but lots of people are not doing that. And that's very true, Becky.
Yeah.
And I think our government might do something about that today in the UK. And then over to Barry. We have cancelled our annual USA road trip, just not worth taking any chances this year.
Yeah, well,
this
the thing.
This,
right? Go ahead.
I mean, this is real world. Last weekend, the weekend just gone, Angelica should have been in Vienna with a son and daughter. But of course, Austria closed its borders, so that didn't take place. And this coming weekend, Angelica's mother and aunt should have been visiting us.
Right.
That's not taking place. So to sort of well, out of that came the fact that Angelica now speaks to her mum and her aunt, three-way conversation on Whereby every Monday at 2:00. So they're actually talking to each other, and that will continue longer than the time. So they're going to keep talking, not just for the duration of this particular occasion, but probably forever now. So there are good things that can come out, as you quite rightly said. And we've got Becky and Barry, and they're in competition as to who can get the most comments in. All right, okay, so that was our last comment. Over to Becky. It's fine to go out and keep a safe distance. Right, if I read Becky's and you read Barry's, that's probably going to work, isn't it?
Sure.
It's fine to go out and keep a safe distance, but lots of people not doing that. And it's over to Barry.
Yeah, I already showed this when we canceled our USA road trip.
Yeah. Okay, just a minute. A very important message coming through.
Oh, Jenny Moons. Hi,
hello, Jenny.
Hi, honey.
And back
I thought you were busy working. What are you doing on your phone?
Becky is saying one good thing that is happening is how clear and blue the skies have become. And also the air seems cleaner, no polluting vehicles. Well, you have fewer people are traveling, and there are fewer planes about. And that's the other thing. Airlines are actually putting up to 75-80% of their fleets on the ground, keeping them there.
Yeah.
And our government are actually being asked to aid them to the tune of, I think, 8.7 billion to actually sort of keep them there so they can actually start flying again. So there is that. And then Becky again.
Our schools were supposed to, set to resume April the 6th. But there's talk now. Just reading something here. There's a good possibility that the secondary schools or the public school system will not be returning for the rest of this term.
Right.
So, they keep extending things the more they find out. Which says to me they're finding out more and more. And the way I see it is like, okay, so in the beginning it was this. So like, okay, we can't put out a state of emergency just like that because we suspect. We've got to have proof. We've got to have facts to back it up. And the more they're finding out, the more they're going, okay, we need to add this. Now we need to add this. If so, it makes me wonder if we shouldn't have been doing it from the very start to where we're at right now. Not that that's the government's fault by any means. Based on, but if we'd start treating it like this was a serious problem from the start, we might be further ahead. And the problem with this virus, my understanding, is they put it out there that if you have a runny nose and a cough, sore throat, you should get checked out. Okay. I could have it. I feel fine right now. You could have it right now and feel fine. You feel fine. You don't even know you have it. If you have the measles, for example, you get sick, your body knows that you're sick. You don't know if you're sick right now. It could be in you for 14 days before it comes out. So it knows no race, no color, no culture, nothing. And it is the stupid one. And we're the smart ones. We have the brain. So we need to use our brains, be smart, and act as though you have the virus. If you knew you had the virus, act that way, or assume that everybody else you talk to has it. And if we behave and respond that way, that's how we need to be. I don't know. I get pretty passionate about it. Sorry, but I just this is going to be impactful on the world forever.
Right. And Kelly is saying we've got snow today. It could have some social distancing. Mother Nature doesn't know it's spring. Well, that may help.
We've had spring for a month already, Kelly, because we've had lots of warm weather, and then we woke up this morning and it was like, holy crap, there's snow.
Indeed. I'm guessing you know this person.
Oh, Rob Rook. Yes, I do. Rob Rook, one of our karaoke followers and a friend as well. So he's quite a character. So he's Jenny Moons, Jenny Moons. That's how he's saying it.
Back to Becky, and Becky, we have an icy chill and a beautiful spring day, Kelly. Full sunshine, bright blue skies, and it's the same in Wiltshire. And Peter's trying to do a watch party for us. Thank you.
Oh, thanks very much. Hope you're doing well, Peter. Okay. Becky Mary. So I'm guessing I don't recognize that name. But it sounds like you're from Sarnia.
Becky Murray.
Yeah,
is from Cambridge.
Oh, okay.
I think I could be wrong, but I think she knows Fons and me, and we know. Fons knows Becky more than I do, but we both know Becky. Lots of carriers for the virus. That's the trouble. People think they're fine and invincible. And I think the germination period from actually getting the virus is 5.5 days. So you should be, if you have got it, then you should know 5.5 days after you actually contracted it. And over to Rob's being equal here. He's saying that to you as well.
Yeah, you know, everybody loves Jenny Moons more than they love me, so it's okay. I get it.
Right. And Barry's saying we've had snow in May, so not surprising we get it today.
Yeah.
And yes, Becky's just proved that my memory is pretty good. Thank you, Becky.
Well, so here's what I was thinking too. Like when it gets nice enough for motorcycle rides, am I going to be allowed to go for a motorcycle ride? I'm being pretty selfish.
Right. Okay. That's my cue. That's my cue to actually share screen. I've been waiting for the moment. I'm going to bring in a Chrome tab, and this is from the BBC News site, and hopefully I shall be able to bring it up on screen. Okay, and I'm going to put it full screen so you can see it. What am I allowed to do when social distancing? Okay, and this is in the UK. Got to say this is in the UK. What am I allowed to do when I'm social distancing? You can see family and friends if it's essential. Yeah. So if there is an emergency, you can go and see family and friends. Okay. You can walk your dog.
Sorry, before you go into there, let me ask that question. You can see family and friends if it's essential. So define essential. And if it's an emergency or not, if I have the virus and I'm going and seeing family.
No. So you're actually doing social distancing and you don't have the virus.
Oh.
You don't know. Sorry, you don't know you've got the virus.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. I mean, essential can mean it's open to interpretation. I agree on that. You can walk your dog. Okay. So if you're out and about with a dog, you can walk your dog. You can provide essential care for elderly relatives and neighbours if you have no symptoms. So if you're clear of symptoms, this is in the UK, then you can provide care for relatives and neighbours. You can go to the shops to buy food and groceries, and you can exercise at a safe distance from others. And then can I go out for a walk? And into that, you can read bike ride too. Even though people are urged to stay at home, Mr. Hancock, and this is the minister who's in control in the UK, it is important that people get exercise. However, they should keep 2 meters away from others. And just that photograph there tells the story. That's in Wales, Barry Island, and people are not 2 meters apart. Yeah, right. So that's the situation in the UK. I'm going to take that off screen now. But again, it's down to common sense. Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's a subconscious thing in us too, where when we go out, like, well, Jennifer and I went out for a walk the other day, and we were coming down the sidewalk, coming back to our home, and there was a gentleman and his dog walking towards us. And I said, well, we better practice social distancing. And she went out and ran into the middle of the road. No, not really, but she made a point of, she stopped, because the sidewalk was narrow and he had the dog.
Mm-hmm.
So we stopped and we just kind of stood off, and he nodded thank you, and I said hello, and he said hello back, and we kept going. But we were very aware of it. And I think, like I try not to touch my face, but if I get an itch on my nose, I still do it. And then I go, oh, should I have done that? Like the trick in a lot of this is you got to make yourself aware. It's because we have habits. We touch our face, rub our nose, or we're usually standing close to people and we're not worried about catching anything. But now, I think after all of this passes, whenever that may be, we may start treating the common cold a little bit differently.
Right. And Becky's confirming she's in Cambridge. That's Cambridge, UK, not Cambridge, Massachusetts. And Becky's saying, as long as you keep, Becky's advice is, as long as you keep your distance from the masses.
There you go.
Right.
Well, that's the thing too. I mean, if I go out on a motorcycle, I'm going for a ride and I got my helmet on. I mean, I'm obviously not going to be stopping anywhere for a coffee because they're all closed. I'm not going for a beer because I don't do that when I'm riding anyway. And I'm not, so I can go for a ride, I think, and then just come back home. But I suspect, and this is just my opinion, prediction, I think, at least in Canada, at least certainly in Ontario, they're going to call a lockdown and you just won't be able to leave your house.
No.
I hope not.
Would you like to take this one? Peter's saying, breaking news, the PM is not talking at 5, will speak later. So that would suggest that they're actually preparing something in the UK and need to have it ready in order to talk to us. So we get a daily conference at 5 o'clock. It's been delayed.
Yeah. They keep, ours is our Premier of Ontario speaking at 1 o'clock. And I believe Justin Trudeau, our Prime Minister, already spoke earlier this morning. I haven't watched it yet, but Mother's Day here yesterday. Oh, you guys had Mother's Day yesterday.
We had Mother's Day yesterday, and Angelica's daughter lives far away, but her son's not. Well, he lives pretty close actually. So he came round, but he didn't come in. He left the presents on the doorstep, as it were. Right, over to Mr. Peter Stewart, and Peter walks his dog, and he takes his mobile phone with him too. Right. Okay. Right. I think you should read this one. Not for any particular reason, but
I'm trying to find it on the. Oh, there it is. Was watching an American guideline for social distancing, and it really wasn't strict at all. Even though their numbers are exploding, I feel like we as Canadians are locking things down tighter. Yeah, part of this too, that's a good point, Jenny Moons. Different cultures treat this a different way. And even though it's Canadian Americans, North American, Americans and Canadians have different cultures and different philosophies of belief, right? So, but here's the other thing to keep in mind too. Their numbers are so much higher. However, there's the state of California has a larger population than the entire country of Canada. That's just one state. So their numbers are typically going to be higher than ours overall. I guess if you want to, do you want to show the numbers right now, Stephen?
Yeah, sure, can do. Yeah. Let me just prepare for this. I'm going to take off, because people watching know who we are by now. So I'm going to remove the overlay.
Hopefully.
Yeah. I'm going to bring up your screen share. Okay. And I'm going to make it full screen. Oh, no, I'll go better than that. So I'm going to hide me. You can still hear me. And I'm going to go picture in picture. Not that way, David, sorry. I'm going to go that way, and I'm going to make one final adjustment, and then it's all yours. Just a minute. Preparation is key. I was trying to. Oh, wait a minute. Right. You're good to go now.
Except that you're showing yours, not mine.
Well, it was close. Just a minute. Hide. Show.
There we go. One more. Ta-da! Okay, there we go. Thank you, Stephen.
All yours.
Yeah, so here's the numbers Jennifer's talking about in the USA. Just about 40,000 confirmed cases and 474 have deceased from the coronavirus. And if that's not a clue for you people, I don't know. You people, we're gonna go there. In Canada right now, just getting closer to just over 1,400 confirmed cases and 21 died. Here's the thing. A week ago, that number was like 5 of deceased people. 1 week ago. 36 hours ago, that number was 9. And now it's 21. There's 5 in Ontario, 10 in British Columbia, 1 in Alberta, 5 in Quebec. If you look at Saskatchewan, Nova Scotia, Manitoba, New Brunswick, who have very small numbers and nobody passing, in the Yukon, Northwest, you know why? There's not a lot of people there and there's a lot of space. Hello? There's a lot of space. There's less people in contact. Mm-hmm. Big clue.
Right.
Yeah. And here's we look at these numbers every day, and confirmed deceased and all that, and we see them going up. It keeps going up. Here's the one number that has not changed that really intrigues me. Recovered. 2%. 2% have recovered. That number has been like that from the first day of looking at this chart, and it has never increased. It's never increased. It's been 2% for Canada the entire time. So they're not getting any better at it. It's not, that's how I read that. The recovery rate is not getting any better yet. That's the one. And the other ones, the numbers just keep going up. And they start going up exponentially now. And that's the key to this too, is exponentially it's growing. So for those of you who might not be taking it seriously, I'm talking to you. Please follow the guidelines, stay home, social distance, whatever you want to call it. Be smart. Because it's not even just your own health that you're affecting. It's other people's as well. We have to, in my opinion, treat this as though we have other people's lives in the palm of our hands. That's what I'm seeing. Stephen, your life is in my hands. How do you feel about that? But that's really right.
It is a responsibility, and we need everybody to actually take that responsibility seriously. If we're going to get through this, well, we will get through this, but how we come out the other side is determined by what people do now. I agree with you. And just to go back to the comments and get the screen sorted first. And Becky is saying, if the road's clear, it might be nice to go for a drive. No road rage. It might change people, the way people actually interact with each other. I agree, Becky. And I'm going to switch back to our classic view. And the next one, again from Becky, and Becky is saying this time, I don't like to drive fast, prefer to take in my surroundings. We might have a chance to do that. Over to Peter and over to David.
Yeah. 5,683 confirmed after tests and 54 deaths in the last 24 hours. Keep that up there for just a second, if you would, Stephen. Okay. Here's a point in there that I think Peter's making that I was going to bring up as well. So good timing. These numbers are not accurate because these numbers are only based on people who have been tested, not on those who are carrying the virus that don't know they have it and have not been tested. These numbers are only of people who have been tested. That means there's a whole lot more out there than these numbers. There's a whole lot more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Over to Becky. And Becky's looking ahead and she's going to take a hot drink. Oh, it's telling you to take a hot drink in a flask on your motorcycle while you can. Okay, and Becky again.
Full face helmet, so I can't do that.
I tried to glue the doors up.
Oh, yes.
And out, Rob's back. Rob. All right. Okay, now, before you answer that, I just want to say something in relation to that. If people go to my timeline after the show, if you go to my timeline after the show, I am, just put the name up, Stephen Healey. And if you go to my timeline after the show, this morning in the UK started a new project, and it was on Zoom, and it was 20 people getting together to start an online choir. And it was just amazing. It was led by, it's part of our health, it's contracted to our health service, the NHS, and they are starting singing groups throughout the UK, bringing people together to actually go live on Facebook and sing. And I think it's a fantastic venture, and I'm promoting it and sharing it. And if you go to my timeline, you'll find it. I think this is a brilliant way of actually using live video, especially when you get 20 people on screen. I mean, that's something to behold. Right. Okay. So we can now go back to Rob's question.
Well, and very interesting, live streaming, that live streaming thing. Hey, I hear people in the background going, hey, maybe we should try live streaming. What do you think about live streaming? Have you ever tried live streaming? Boy, live streaming, what a great idea. Been doing it for 10 years. Yeah. Anyway, Rob Rook, I don't know if you're asking that question to throw me an idea or if you've heard a rumor. Because Rob and I know some of the same people, and I've put it out there in text. I'm actually looking at doing an online karaoke session. Mm-hmm. So there were some technical challenges to that, but I am in the process actually of putting together an online karaoke session where you, Rob, can join via your smartphone or your PC, and you'll see the karaoke up on the screen, and then you can just sing along. No microphone, you just come into the room and sing along. So I am looking at doing that. I am also working on a live performance broadcast, which details for that will be out tomorrow. There's going to be some music. It'll be out tomorrow. Oh, I really want to tell you, but look for some live performances locally coming up. Actually, and one of our very well-known performers, Scott Maneri from Scott Maneri and the Barn Burners, sat in his basement at home with all his guitars and everything, and went just a simple put the phone up, went live, and performed for an hour and a half for whoever wanted to watch. So live streaming is starting to be utilized, and people, without even realizing it, are realizing the value in live streaming and taking advantage of it. So that's good to see.
It is good to see. You can just whisper it to me, David. Nobody will hear you.
Okay.
Just, never mind. onto the comments. Okay, and we've got a problem in the UK. Well, potential one. Our Prime Minister.
How do you say that?
Boris Johnson, whose name you've heard. Mm-hmm. If anything happens to him, then he'll be his stand-in is Dominic Raab, and we just wish Boris Johnson well and hope he doesn't get the virus. Is all I'm going to say on that one, because we don't get too political. And right, okay, your turn.
We're debating. They are debating legislation on COVID-19 in Parliament. It's live on TV. Yes, we knew that. I'm assuming you're talking about the Canadian Parliament. We knew that Justin Trudeau was going to be calling emergency Parliament to reconvene to discuss this. I haven't watched any of it yet, but yeah, it is live right now, and hopefully, our politicians are able to collectively come together and put all the bickering aside and go, we need to figure this out. We need to get to the point. Hopefully the politics are put aside. unfortunately, there will always be those who'll go, here's a time for opportunity. How can we take advantage of this situation for our party? Because we are in an election year coming up in October.
Right.
So, hopefully that gets put aside. But then again, I say that, and in the same breath, I talk about how excited I am that people are realizing the value in live streaming, because that's one of the things I do as a profession is teach live streaming and help people with their live streaming. Shameless plug. And one of the struggles has always been to get people to understand the big value in live streaming and how they can utilize it. So I'm hoping that people realize that, because it's probably going to help me. I don't know. But
now, I don't know whether David's actually
to take advantage of things, but in a positive way.
Yeah. Right. Just on a technical note at the moment, in the UK, Netflix have reduced their bandwidth so that we're not getting full high definition on our television. They've done that so that they can stream more smoothly.
Yeah.
But it is an indication that there are more of us using the internet than ever before, 24/7. And that gives the ISPs, the internet service providers, a problem. So if you are having problems with your internet, then it may well be that your internet is actually being throttled, which is a wonderful term for saying they've turned it down a bit. They've turned the volume down, and we'll all have to manage with what we've got. Now, that's obviously going to fluctuate according to how many people are actually on the internet at any one time, but they have to be able to turn the tap on and off throughout the course of the day, and we just got to bear with it. It means that sometimes live video will be perfect, sometimes not so. Voice will always work, but the picture might fluctuate. So that's a warning, heads up as to what's going to happen over the coming weeks. And over to Barry, and again over to you, David.
I saw this morning the Sarnia Street Machines have canceled their 2 major car shows, Cruise in the Park and Hot August Nights, which is really interesting because Cruise in the Park is typically in June, I think, Barry, correct me if I'm wrong. And Hot August Nights, it's usually near the end of August.
Mm-hmm.
August. They're thinking that far ahead.
Yeah. Canada's actually leading the world. The Olympics this year in 2020 is in Japan. Mm-hmm. And Canada yesterday withdrew from the Olympics.
Yep, not
first
going
country to do so. I think that the popular opinion is that they just shouldn't go ahead. That they are obviously the most complicated sport event ever, but they should realise that they're not more important than people's health, and they should take a decision now, not delay for another 4 weeks. And Sebastian Coe has a say in what actually happens, and he should be talking to his Japanese counterparts and saying, let's just put it back a year. I mean, they can't. I mean, the original thing was that they were going to put it back 4 weeks, but they can't do that. I mean, it's actually timed so that all the athletes and sports people can actually take part, and putting it back 4 weeks just wouldn't work because there are things going on. So putting it back a year.
Time stamp on this.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So over to Peter, and Peter is saying it's a Cobra meeting that's going to hold us up. Okay. So Cobra is our national, is the sort of what's call it, control room. That's where all decisions are made. So they're making decisions at the moment, and then our Prime Minister will come and tell us what the decisions are. Mm-hmm. Over to Rob is agreeing with Dom, and Peter is saying correct. Okay, and I'm trying to catch up here. It's been all go today. I'm not seeing a reference for the masses to get tested in the UK. The kit situation in the UK, I think, is improving, Becky, and they are testing more people each day. But the general population, we can't request a test, so we just got to wait and see how they're going to run this out. They are going to try and test all medical staff first, And Peter's reminding us that if you are running karaoke, David, then he used to sing on Pal Talk, which was
well, that's what I'm hoping is when I run karaoke that not just my local karaoke parts will show up, but the world will show up, like right. Peter Stewart.
Indeed. And Becky's saying, don't give Stephen any ideas. I am never going to sing, Becky. You're safe on that one. Right. Okay. And over to Scott Manning will be playing again this Saturday at 8:30 p.m.
Yes. Yes. And yes.
Right. We have there's part of the UK, Bath is in Somerset, just one state over from us, and they're still carrying out live events, shopping and concerts and things, and they seem to think that they're in a sort of safe circle.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's talking UK. Andy is my friend. Okay. So we're making connections here. And as we make more connections, we go to Kelly. Over to you, David.
Garth Brooks concert Monday night, tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern, live tonight on Facebook. Live on Facebook. What a great idea.
And we nip over to Scotland, and Peter is saying Scottish MP is urging people to stop coming up to the Highlands of Scotland as the hospitals couldn't cope. And that's true. I mean, people are turning up in mobs in places, and the infrastructure is not there. And this is from our popular newspapers. Boris Johnson's father is going to apply for French citizenship so his children and grandchildren can visit France. Okay. I couldn't possibly comment. And yes, it does make a mockery of things. And over to you, David.
Funeral directors are allowed to give death certificates and extended crematorium hours.
Right, and obviously we're changing to actually cope with what's going to be happening. And
I see.
Yeah. Okay, so cremator was working on Sunday. Okay, out to Becky. And Glastonbury has been cancelled. That's in Somerset too, and they're saying schools might be shut till the end of the year. Our schools are now closed, and they've said what will happen is that because obviously the students are going to take exams in May and June, and they can't now do that. So we do mock exams in February and March. So this is a rehearsal for the real thing. And they're going to award certificates on the basis of how students did in February and March. And that's their way around it. And it is quite possible that the schools will not open until August, September, as Becky's saying, or even later. And over to Kelly and over to you, David.
More live stream music groups, the couch concerts. Yeah. Well, and we've seen lots of artists do that. I mean, even last week, you probably won't know these ones, Stephen, but the Arkells, big here, they're giving, or I think it's just the lead singer from the Arkells, been giving guitar lessons to people, free guitar lessons. You come out, he randomly picks somebody and he brings you on, and he's giving guitar lessons. We've seen the Trues perform. We've seen, I think Kim Mitchell did something, and the Indigo Girls, and the artists are starving as well too, because if they don't go do concerts, they don't make the money, and they don't even make the money from the concerts off the ticket. It's if nobody shows up to the concert, nobody's buying a T-shirt, and that's it's a time to take advantage of. Even though they might not be necessarily making money right from the Facebook Live, it keeps themselves out there in front of their audience, and the audience really appreciates it. Going, you know what? They didn't have to sit down and do that, but they're doing it. And that makes me love them even more as a fan, right?
Yeah, indeed. We are a brewery town. We have a local brewery called Wadworth's, who own quite a lot of the pubs around here. And, of course, the pubs are now closed. So they've gone onto Facebook and they've started a group called the Healey, which is a virtual pub. And they've invited people who normally go and have a drink at their pubs to actually join the group on Facebook. And they have a gig every night. And somebody will gig live on Facebook in the group just for the group members. And that's working very well. So local, not even local, musicians throughout the UK are actually flocking to play at the Healey. And there's a community being built up because you've got, what you've got to do throughout all this is keep your spirits up. And what this group sponsored by Walrus Brewery is doing is doing that. In other words, people can't go to the pub in the evening, but they can go and have a chat with their friends and listen to music. So that's, again, great use. And I'm trying to catch up with the comments, David. And this is the last one.
Oh, right, only doctors could pronounce. I didn't know what you mean at first, what you meant at first, but I figured that.
Yeah. And over to Becky. And Becky's saying live streaming and FaceTime is the way to keep connected. We can agree with that, David.
And, FaceTime, obviously I'm in the live streaming world. FaceTime, I haven't used it a lot. Like once in a while, Jennifer will be upstairs and she'll FaceTime me downstairs. But I've been utilizing it more and more with my children, again, who are over at their mother's. And, we did they were both sitting there and we were shooting the guff and just chatting and laughing and whatnot. And so even for somebody like me who's in the live streaming world, I hadn't been using FaceTime that much, but now kind of forced into it, right? But we have the tools to stay in touch. I'm teaching I'm back to college tomorrow, but I'm not at the college. My students are going to be joining me remotely, and I'm going to be going live on a private YouTube channel, and that's what I'm teaching my class.
Right.
So that'll be interesting.
Okay. Good. Well, it will be. It's a first, isn't it? Are you nervous?
What's that?
Am I nervous?
I would call it professional anxiety. And all I mean by that is I'm a very sincere teacher. I want you, the student, to get whatever you can from me. And I want to be impactful on you and teaching you. So I just want to make sure that I'm prepared and going to provide everything you need to be able to take a good takeaway from my class. And the only thing I'm worried about is, and it's not even a worry, technical things happen, right? It's new for the student as well. So because I'm still going to be asking them to engage, they'll just sit back and go, oh yeah, I watched the teacher. There's going to be things that they have to participate in. And I've had to utilize some technologies to, maybe they take some surveys on their phone while they're watching. So I've had to make it engaging so that they have to show up.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Now, talking of showing up, Dave's intimated, and we can confirm it now, that David and I will be back tomorrow at the new time, the time we came on last week, which is 1 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. in the UK, and we'll continue the conversations that we've started today. And I'm going to take that down again.
Just making sure.
Right. Well, it's been a very fast-paced hour, David.
Yeah, it's been a good conversation. Yeah.
And the conversation will never end, which is good. And
but I do think when we continue to go live all this week, and we're obviously going to be mentioning the coronavirus, folks, but just so you know, and Stephen and I have sort of already agreed on this, we're going to be putting other things in the broadcast as well. It's not going to be all about the coronavirus. I think that we're going to, Stephen, probably talk about some things that you can do like we did last week to keep yourself engaged, maybe some creative ideas. And we invite you to join us in the broadcast to talk with us. We didn't really put that out there today, but tomorrow and anytime, I think tomorrow we'll put the link out there tomorrow, eh, Stephen?
Yes, certainly.
Is there a way we can, I don't know if this is a good idea, can we put the guest link out in advance tomorrow so that people can be prepared? Or
yeah, we can put the link in the actual post itself so that you can get ready to actually join us on camera. We may well put the word out as well with our broadcasting friends, so you don't keep seeing David and I. We'll actually bring other people on as well.
Yeah, there you go.
Variety is the spice of life, and you may just a warning though. We didn't, or David didn't, do dad jokes today. Now, he still has 7 dad jokes that he's not yet told. It could be that they actually make an appearance either tomorrow or on the show after that. David, it's over to you.
Yeah, we'll do it tomorrow because we're past Stephen's bedtime almost. But thanks everybody for coming and joining us today and watching and getting to know each other a little bit more. That's the other thing in these interesting times, that we're having to spend some social time. Even though we're social distancing, we're having to socialize, I think, even a little bit more. We just have to find other ways to do it. And I say thank you to my dear friend Stephen Healey for producing the show and just being a good friend all around as well. It's been a good relationship over a couple of years, and it's been great to knowing all of you as well. So if you enjoyed the show, give us a 10 in the comments below. If you didn't, don't do anything. Come back and see us again tomorrow at 1 o'clock Eastern from Sarnia, Ontario, Canada. Stay safe, everybody.
From Wiltshire, England, take care, and we'll see you tomorrow. And thank you. Bye for now. Oh, wait a minute. There's a comment coming. Is there another comment?
Corinda.
Okay, and Corinda. Final comment from Corinda, which I'm trying to show on the screen because everything got cancelled, is going to talk about fitness. Okay, look forward to that, Corinda. Everybody, bye for now.